Welcome to another episode of History of the Popes. Today we turn to Pope Sixtus II, the 24th successor of St. Peter, whose pontificate from 257 to 258 shines as a brief but radiant moment of courage and unity amid the gathering storm of persecution. Sixtus II, a martyr whose blood was shed in the catacombs, stands as a symbol of pastoral fidelity and reconciliation, his life a testament to the Church's enduring call to be a light in darkness, even when the Empire's sword looms large. It is August 257. The Church in Rome is under siege. Emperor Valerian, who once seemed tolerant, has issued an edict that strikes at the heart of Christian life. Clergy must sacrifice to the pagan gods or face exile, while Christian assemblies are banned, and their cemeteries, those sacred catacombs, are confiscated. Pope Stephen I, Sixtus's predecessor, has just been martyred, likely beheaded, his death a stark reminder of the cost of leadership. The Roman See, a perilous throne, has been vacant only briefly when the clergy and faithful, meeting in secret, elect Sixtus II on August 30, 257. His name, derived from the Greek xystos, meaning polished or refined, evokes a clarity of purpose, a fitting descriptor for a man who will navigate both persecution and internal division with grace. The Liber Pontificalis tells us he was a Greek by birth, perhaps born around 200, a man of philosophical temperament, possibly trained in the intellectual circles of Athens or Alexandria before embracing the priesthood in Rome. Cyprian of Carthage speaks of Sixtus with warmth, suggesting a pastor of deep charity and resolve. Sixtus inherits a church bruised by the Valerian persecution and still divided by the baptismal controversy that pitted Stephen against Cyprian over the validity of baptisms performed by heretics. Yet Sixtus's brief reign, barely a year, will be marked not by discord but by a quiet work of healing, even as he faces the empire's wrath. The Valerian persecution is relentless. Unlike Decius's earlier edict, which targeted all Christians, Valerian's focuses on the clergy and the church's infrastructure, aiming to decapitate its leadership and scatter its flock. Sixtus, as Bishop of Rome, is a marked man, yet he continues to minister, likely in the catacombs, where Christians gather for the Eucharist amid the tombs of their martyrs. The Liber Pontificalis credits him with ordaining priests and deacons, ensuring the Church's sacramental life persists despite the ban. These acts of defiance, celebrating the liturgy, sustaining the diaconiae that feed the poor, are not mere administration but a proclamation of the kingdom in the face of empire. Sixtus's most enduring legacy, however, lies in his role as a reconciler. The baptismal controversy, which had strained relations between Rome and Carthage, finds in Sixtus a gentler hand. While Stephen had insisted that baptisms by heretics were valid, requiring only the laying on of hands for reconciliation, Cyprian and the African bishops argued for rebaptism, viewing schismatic sacraments as empty. The dispute had threatened schism, with Stephen's appeal to Peter's primacy clashing against Cyprian's emphasis on episcopal collegiality. Sixtus, while upholding Rome's tradition, adopts a more conciliatory tone. Letters attributed to him, preserved in Cyprian's collection, suggest he sought dialogue, affirming the Church's unity without pressing for uniformity. By 258, the controversy begins to wane, not through coercion but through the slow work of mutual respect, a testament to Sixtus's pastoral wisdom. This reconciliation is all the more remarkable, given the external pressures. Valerian's persecution intensifies in 258, with a second edict ordering the execution of bishops, priests, and deacons who refuse to sacrifice. On August 6th, 258, Sixtus is seized, tradition holds, while preaching in the catacomb of Calixtus, surrounded by his flock. The story, enriched by later accounts like those of St. Ambrose, paints a vivid scene. Sixtus, celebrating the Eucharist, is interrupted by imperial soldiers. With him is his deacon, Lawrence, destined for his own martyrdom days later. Sixtus is beheaded on the spot, his blood staining the catacombs' tufa walls, a sacrifice offered at the altar of the Lord. 4 deacons, including Januarius, Magnus, Vincent and Stephen, are killed with him, their names etched in the Church's memory. The Liber Pontificalis and the Martyrologium Hieronymianum proclaim Sixtus a martyr, his epitaph in the catacomb of Calixtus reading Xistus Episcopus Martyr, a testimony confirmed by archaeologists like Giovanni Battista de Rossi. The martyrdom of Sixtus resonates deeply. Cyprian, martyred in Carthage just weeks later, on September 14th, 258, had hailed Sixtus as a brother in faith, their correspondence a lifeline across the Mediterranean. The story of Sixtus and Lawrence, though embellished by later hagiographers like Prudentius, captures the Church's spirit. Lawrence, tasked with distributing the Church's treasures, gives them to the poor, declaring them the true wealth of the faith. Sixtus's death, so closely tied to his deacons, underscores the communion of pastor and people, a shared witness that defies the empire's power. What does Sixtus teach us? His pontificate, a mere 12 months, is a meditation on the power of presence. In an age of persecution, he did not flee, but remained with his flock, celebrating the mysteries in the catacombs, where life and death mingled in the Eucharist's promise. His reconciliation with Cyprian reminds us that unity is not uniformity, but a harmony forged through charity, a lesson for our own fractured time. His martyrdom, swift and brutal, joins him to the chorus of 3rd century popes Fabian, Cornelius, Lucius, Stephen, whose blood watered the Church's roots, proving that the cross is not a symbol, but a reality. Sixtus's Greek origins also speak to the Church's Catholicity. In a Rome still dominated by Latin culture, his leadership bridges East and West, a foreshadowing of the universal mission that will define the Church. The catacomb of Calixtus, where his body rests alongside his predecessors, becomes a silent homily. Each tomb, each inscription, proclaims a Church that endures through sacrifice, its hope anchored in the resurrection. As we leave Sixtus, we stand on the cusp of another pontificate, that of Dionysius, who will inherit a Church bloodied but unbroken.